Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Talk2Rami. Today is a great day because I am talking to Heather Emerson. She's a female entrepreneur, or femalepreneur as I say, and she's been in the Austin, very involved in the Austin community for the healthy food, vegan, and environment, and we're gonna get to all of that, but it's good for all of you to learn from Heather. And she's a public speaker and community advocate, Austin under 40, name it, public speaker, environmental warrior, everything. We're going to get to know Heather. And Heather, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here. Tell me, who is Heather? Where are you from? Who is Heather? Our audience, they want to know who is Heather.
Okay. That's such a big question. How do I sum that up? Well, I think if we start from the beginning, I am a small town girl at heart, which is very weird to say. I don't know if anybody can relate to this, but I think we always return home. We're raised a certain way and we might hate it. As in my case, I definitely rebelled. I did not want to be in a small town. And now I love my small town. It's an hour north of Austin. I live in Austin. And when I go home where I'm originally from, and people greet me and they're just so nice, I'm like, God, this is awesome. I'm from here. So I think there's something definitely inside of me that's
because you were from New York, right?
I lived in New York. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was like, I'm getting as far away from this town as possible. I'm going big city. At first I went to Austin, went to UT, then I went to New York, and I went to New York because Austin started feeling small because it was too close to home. I really desired to be in a big city with just exposure to all the things, and moved back to Austin. And yeah, just really I think I had a lot of healing to do. Had a really bumpy childhood, got in a lot of trouble at one point. I don't know if you've read that. You were saying you read about me. Did you read that I was incarcerated? Yes, I was incarcerated for a year. And I think there was just a lot of self-loathing. And it's so nice to not feel that way about myself anymore and just cherish the things that
you
raised
went through
me.
the whole transformation.
Yeah. And it's great.
How was the New York? Because I always say this. I always ask people that, as you know, a lot of people, they're moving to Austin from LA, from New York, from California, Sacramento, San Diego, name it, from LA. One of my friends said New York is all about transactional. Especially when they meet, you got 5 seconds, 10 seconds, who you are, what you do, how much you making, all that stuff. When you come to Austin, it's about find the meaning. Austin helps you to find yourself, be who you are, what you want to do, and it's more community. Because I've been in Austin for 28 years. I never been in New York, but I have a lot of friends. They all say the same thing. They say, when I come to Austin, as you said, I feel like home. I feel like, people, they want to interact with me. Not because how much money I have, I live in the upper Manhattan or whatever. They really want to get to know me. Is that right?
I definitely think I had forgotten that about Austin. And I realized it moving back from New York, when we started our business. Everybody wanted to help us. Everybody. They didn't care. I don't know that it's this way anymore, by the way, because this was back in 2016. And since then is when we've had this huge influx of people from all over. And I think it might be harder to make the networks and connections that we were able to do 6 years ago. But I was so touched that people who they didn't know who I was, they didn't care. And they wanted to help us. And you're right. In New York, it would not be like that. To get a meeting would be really, really hard. And the question that everybody asks you when you said 5 seconds, 10 seconds, it's where do you live and what do you do? And that determines whether or not they're going to stay there and talk to you for the most part. And it's not that they'd be rude about it. They'd just be like, well, it's nice to meet you and move on.
I think it's a norm of New York.
Yeah.
Or they really, they're going to classify you, are they going to spend time with you or not? But
are you worth my time?
Yeah, are you worth
that is basically what they're asking.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
Because time is the thing that everybody wants more of in New York. Running. And I liked that about New York because it was like what you see is what you get with people. And I loved the black and white about it. Like I said, it wasn't until I moved back to Austin where I was like, oh, there's so much more depth to connection. And I didn't realize it. I loved the rat race in New York. I think I probably have a hard time with it now because that probably would feel icky, but it was great. If you're ambitious and you're right out of college and you're like, I just want to like move up and do all the things, like it's great. You just, really quickly if you want to spend time with somebody because you're there to make yourself move up and do better and succeed. So I think there's a time and a place for it. I don't want to like crap on New York. I still love New York.
Yeah. That you're absolutely right. For some people it works. I love to go to a meeting. I love to go see and everything is, but I don't think I can leave there because I got used to this environment. But let's go back to your childhood. That's very interesting that you had a rough childhood, and when you decided that okay, Heather, it's time. I'm gonna change. This is enough, and I'm gonna really change my life. What made you to do that? Because a lot of listeners or viewers, they might be in the same position. They might say that, okay, look at this successful lady. She's, Austin Townsend, Forbes magazine, Harvard, master degree, everything. How did you do it? How did you transform your mind from just, this is a Heather, now is enough. I just want to change. What made you do that? How did you do it?
I don't know that it was really healthy the way I did it. Like, I think a lot of my achievements were because I didn't really love myself. And so I often think about like when you're so ashamed of who you are, when you feel like you're like the lowest person in the room, the most unworthy person in the room, that is, I kind of think of it like I don't want to be insensitive. So if there's anybody out there with an eating disorder, I hope this doesn't land the wrong way, but in the same way of like, you have an eating disorder, I want to be skinny, and like, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to be skinny or to control my body or, however that translates to you. Like I said, I don't want to offend anybody out there, but like, it's kind of like that. Like nobody can tell you you're good enough and you're not going to believe them, right? Like when you have that belief about yourself, you are determined, and it's almost destructive, right? It is destructive in the case of like anorexia. And I kind of felt like I haven't had that kind of eating disorder, I would say. But I've definitely had like the self-hatred and the self-destructive behavior that has shown up with food, but it showed up in everywhere in my life. It showed up in just like, I've got to do something. And so I was like so determined to turn my life around. And it sounds so inspirational, but if I'm being honest, it was really from a negative place. It wasn't until recently, after a lot of my achievements had happened, that I was like, oh, I don't have to do that to be worthy. I don't have to continue to check all these boxes to be worthy. And it was just a long, long journey of healing. So I want to be honest about that to people out there, because while I am like so proud of what I've done, I just think that like what I really want to, I guess, put out there in the world is that whatever you are on a mission to do, I hope that you pause and take a minute to think about like, what is the reason behind this? And like,
your why.
Yeah. What is your why? Like, is it because you don't feel good enough as you are? I'm not saying that's going to change your trajectory. You might still, like me, still go after the thing, but really, really dig deep. Like, why are you doing this? Like, is it for money? Is it because you don't like yourself? Like, those are reasons that can lead you to a wrong path. And because I had messed up, I think I didn't let it get too far. Like I recognized it. I recognized that like I'm trying to achieve these things and it's not from a good place. And so I was able to pause that. But yeah, I mean, I didn't just want to go to grad school. I wanted to go to an Ivy League school. I didn't just want to, it was like all of these things. And it was because the story that I was telling myself was that I'm not good enough until I can achieve these things. So the inspiration behind all of that is simultaneously while I was doing, checking all these boxes, I was really doing deep work in sharing my story. I really like that you have this on your podcast, like everybody has a story. It wasn't until I started sharing my story about incarceration that I realized I don't have to be ashamed of it. And I think that's when everything changed in my life. So for those of people out there who are wanting to, bloom, I would say a really important part of growing and blooming is telling your story. And a lot of people can't do that. If you were to ask them,
a lot of people cannot do that.
Who are you?
And being honest,
Crickets.
Be yourself. Because I don't know, a lot of people that I have interviewed and I have seen and listened to the stories, most of them, they are influenced by other people's judgment, that how other people see them. Therefore, they're going to do something not for themselves, do to satisfy those people, which is in reality is not what they want to do. I think
yes.
I think you were affected by that too. You just said it, that people, they think I'm the most miserable person. But whatever everybody else is thinking, that doesn't mean that that's the definition of who you are. Is that right?
Yeah, you nailed it. Like I literally went to college. Part of the reason I went to college, my undergrad, was because I thought, how am I going to introduce myself and talk about like what I want to do in life if I haven't gone to college? Like, what would people think? Like, that was really like a motivator for me. There was also another really beautiful piece in there that so I wanted to be a hairdresser.
I saw that, and then you went and you actually did it. You got licensed and all that stuff.
No. I didn't do that. So I wanted to be a hairdresser. I told my dad I wanted to be a hairdresser, and he basically laughed at me. Like, he didn't think that was a good choice for me, and it broke my heart. And he was like, listen, if you go to college, I will help you financially. And so part of it was this like dark story of like, okay, I want to feel worthy and I want to have this degree. And then the other part of it was really beautiful, and that like, how many people in the world want to go to college, but they don't have a parent who supports them? Like, how many people? That's millions of people don't have that. And so part of that was like, okay, God, universe, whatever you connect to, like, that's a blessing, and I'm not going to take that for granted. So, but if I'm being honest, I think that the whole education thing and like the branding behind universities and labels and degrees and all of that is all a scam. It's all a scam.
This is like, I kind of agree with you, because I always say that education not necessarily make you smarter to do things. Like, we all capable of doing great things without education. I'm not going to put down the education. I went to university, I got graduated and all that stuff, but I always look at it as a tool.
It's a tool.
As a tool. It's nothing more than a tool.
That's right. And it's a great tool.
It's a great tool.
But it is not going to get you all the things that they sometimes promise you.
Exactly. You're absolutely. It's one of the tools in your toolbox.
Yes.
Like your character, your mission. Oh, the education. Let me pull that to what I have learned. But that not necessarily will be the goal for me, that, if I want to get there, I need to be educated. No.
Amen.
YouTube University. Name it. Everywhere you can learn. I think it's more into, how determined you are, if you know your why, who you want to be, and what you're going to do, and what is your legacy is going to be. And like, I go, to Prep to Your Door, the company that you have founded it. now that we're talking, you build this company based on a lot of your personal desires and what you went through. And now you speak and I go back and I was reading about the prep to your door. I said, okay, I want to be sustainable. Okay, this is the environment. It's all about the beliefs that you have or you created during your venture. And it goes back to you find out who you want to be.
Yeah.
That's how you build a company. And the company is going to be successful because now you believe what you're trying to do. And that's regardless of you have an education or you graduate from the Harvard, the top class, or MIT or whatever. And I know a lot of people, they don't even have a degree, and they are successful.
Oh, yeah.
A degree does not define your character.
And it doesn't define your success.
No.
And I think that is what I mean when I say it was a scam. You're right. I think education is great. You get I've met some of the coolest people. My professors, some of the professors are some of the most world-renowned researchers that exist, and we have access to them at school. So there's really beautiful things going to post-secondary education. I think is really, really great, but it's just not everything that's been promised. That was my point with it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, but for some careers, if you want to be a surgeon, you got to be to a school.
Absolutely.
If you're going to be a pharmacist, you can't learn that. For entrepreneurs like you and I, for the people that they're creative, visionary, or they want to change the world, they want to do something, you don't need a school. You just need to, if you want to go get it, that's fine. Go study, add some knowledge. But if you really want to do something, you really don't do that. I got my degree at age 40.
You did?
Yeah, at age 40. And I was the students speaker for the graduation. My GPA was 3.9. I was working a full time and I was going through a divorce and it was tough, but I did it. And I didn't go because I need that degree. I said, because I love it. I was interacting with professors. I never forget when I walked the first day, they thought I am the professor because they're all 22, 23, and I was 40. And, they said, "Hi, sir." I said, "Okay, where should I sit?" And said, "You're not our professor." I said,
"Oh my God."
I said, "No." It was funny and kind of embarrassing, but I said, and I became friends with those guys, and they say, "Hey, how's it going?" It just was different, but I did it because I love to do it, because I said if I want to go to technology, from hospitality, from restaurant, I got to gain some knowledge. And I went, and I'm so happy I did that. I gained some knowledge. Now I got some tools. When I go to a meetings, they talk about tech, database, all this relational. I can add something. I can just sit there, not like an idiot, and say, "Oh, yeah, you're right." I can add some feedbacks. But for the other, majors, as I said, if you want to be a doctor, sure, you got to go to a school. You got to do that.
I think the doctor's kind of the exception to the rule. There's probably more, but
or pilot or whatever.
Yeah, if you want, I was, that's kind of the exception. I think there's true security in being going to med school, right? Even if you just want to be a traveling ER doctor, no commitment, you're still going to make a few $100,000 a year. You're going to be set. That's kind of, if that's what you want, yes, go to med school. I think I'm speaking more to the entrepreneurs and liberal arts, anybody who studies liberal arts, that's a lot of student debt you're going to graduate with, and no real clear pathway to a job even after graduation.
Oh yeah. And today, as you know, we see a lot of female entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
A lot of female, and I love it. I love it. They actually rising, and I love that because I'm a Middle Eastern, okay? I'm Persian, and back home in Iran, a lot of females, they didn't have the right that they have it here, as what is going on right now in Iran with all the protests and freedom, life, woman, all that stuff is going on. Now, when I'm here, I see these females, they can do anything they want. They can be anybody they want to be. And that's really, really amazing to see that. And I know your partner is Middle Eastern, and he's from Pakistan, and and I was always asking people that they marry with the Middle Eastern things, how that feels like, but it was a cultural shock for you, or what was it? A little bit,
No.
I'm sure.
It was not.
Really?
No.
Wow.
It was not a culture shock for me because I married my person. Like, he's my person. And I don't know how to say it any other way. Like, we met in Boston. We were doing a summer class at Harvard. It was a graduate school class. And he was an undergrad. He's much younger than me, by the way. He's 8.5 years younger than me. Most people don't know that.
Bravo. Good for you.
I didn't even know that when I met him. He doesn't act, he's an old soul. So he doesn't act, he's kind of ageless.
Age is just a number.
Yeah. So we met there and we both weren't living there. We were just doing a summer class. He's really smart. He was doing this graduate level course as part of his undergrad. And I there was no reason why we should be together. Like, he was living in Dubai. I was living between New York and Austin. The age difference, the cultural difference. I'd never dated somebody from Pakistan before. I'd never dated anybody from that continent. So like India, Pakistan, like none of that. It was very unfamiliar to me. And there was just like time stood still when we were together. It was just like, and he had never dated a white girl. I was the first white girl he ever dated.
Nice.
You know, I hope you don't get mad at me for saying this, but he used to make fun of his friends who dated white girls because he always liked, brown girls.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't have to be Pakistani, but like, he's proud to be brown, right? And we were both just like, it was our first time. There was nothing going to keep us apart. I don't know how to say it any other way. Like, we were made for each other. And so I feel very blessed. And the only reason we're able to do that today is because there are not laws against it. There used to be laws against that.
Yeah.
So I just feel so blessed to live in the time in which we live because we have technology to keep us connected after the class was gone.
It's
we
totally
had
different,
internet, right? Like, it was not illegal for us to date or be married. He has very progressive parents. Like, yes, they're Muslim family, but like they're very open. They've always treated me so kindly, but always just accepted me with open arms. Like, that's very, very unusual. All of these things together. So,
you adapt very well.
You think so?
Yeah, you adapt very well because I have known a lot of my friends that are from Middle East and they marry with with American or white, and a lot of opposite. There's like female friends that I have from Middle East married, that adaptability or, kind of absorb things because it's a new thing for me, My wife is American now and, I have to adapt a lot of stuff that, but you adapt or you reject it, but you did very well. And, it's just, that's amazing that.
So whenever we noticed the most differences was when we were planning our wedding.
Oh yeah, that's
we everything was fine, no ripples, no nothing. But then the wedding came, and like that's whenever we realized, oh,
he's got 300 family members.
There was, yes,
I know.
The uncles, cousins, brothers-in-law that.
Oh, if you don't call him, it's bad, and they're saying that you got married and you didn't.
Not invite them. I was like, we don't have enough room. Like, the venue doesn't have enough room, and like it's so disrespectful not to invite them. And so yeah, that was a whole thing that I had to learn. That's very different than.
Did you went to the Muslim tradition wedding too?
So we had an imam marry us actually. So yeah, but he was a Sufi.
Oh, he was a Sufi.
So he's very.
My mom is Sufi.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. So she's like very spiritual. So we did. It's very cool. We did an Islamic prayer that's not traditionally done in weddings, but we did that. I always forget the name of it, but it's the main prayer. And then we did
Friday. The Friday prayer.
I wish I.
They have a big one in Friday prayer or.
It's kind of a song, the way he sang it.
I don't know.
Yeah, I have to look because that's so bad. I don't know the name. I always forget about it, but it's the main prayer. And so he said that.
Did you cover your hair?
No.
Okay.
I didn't even cover like my clothing.
That was a good wedding.
But I think that this was a part of the wedding that was maybe uncomfortable for some family members.
Yes.
Because I wasn't covered, right? And not that they don't care if I cover every day, but just in like the religious
for that
setting.
Specific thing, yeah.
Yeah. So that was, like hard for me because I've never been.
He must love you so much.
Well, here's the saving grace. He is rebellious by nature. So his parents know that about him. So I didn't really have to fight because they know their son. They know that, they've been dealing with this their whole life. So that it wasn't like I came in and I did something
just
wrong.
Changed name.
No. They're just like, oh, of course he picked this American girl who's going to wear a dress with her.
From him.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was they accepted it. And they're such good people. I just love his family. They're just so amazing. And, they've been great. So I've had a fairy tale story that I think that.
That's good because a lot of people, they have a different perceptions, this beside, the Islam and all that stuff and married a Middle Eastern, after 9/11, I told you I got a lot of like hate messages and everything else because Iran had nothing to do with that. And as an Iranian right now, we have a lot of Iranian entrepreneurs right now, eBay, name it, the Uber, all the CEOs, Google here, they're all into the tech or real estate or the cars or jewelry or rugs, all that stuff. But the perception is always a problem. Like if somebody did, therefore they're all like that, which it is not. But you went to a business with your husband, prep, to your door. How did you decide to go to business with your partner? a lot of people they say you shouldn't do that.
It's dumb. Don't do it. People say, how'd you start the business? Stupidity. We didn't know what we were doing. Why'd you start it with your partner?
Is it working?
How do you do it? Don't do it. That's the advice. It's working. We work great together because we met in class. So we were working together on projects in class. So we already knew we worked well together. But that doesn't mean that it's always that way. I mean,
what he does, tell me a little bit about the business, because before we start that, prep to your door is a fantastic idea. Basically, you guys, you use jars and you don't use plastic. We're going to get to that because you are very into environment and environmental, warrior, and you love that. This is the great idea. But my question is, they get this jar and then they have to recycle it, of course, or they send it back? Tell me about the whole business, how you came up with it. How did you came up with it, and what is the process? And I know it's a vegan, the health and all that stuff.
Yeah. So 2004, I was released from prison. I was there for 12 months for a drug charge. I know everyone's going to want to know, so I'm just going to tell you that's what it was for.
It's good that you're open about it. That shows that how honest you are, and that shows that you have a high self-esteem, and you're really proud of who you are, because those moments build us for the future.
They do. Just a little side note on that. I actually I shouldn't have been incarcerated, and I'm going through the legal proceedings for that. But that doesn't change the fact that I was in a bad place. I was using substances and I got caught. So, anyways, when I got out, I got a job at Whole Foods downtown. You've been here for 28 years. Do you remember when Whole Foods was like just a little bitty store where REI is now?
Yes.
Remember with the big vegetables on the garage? Or fruit. It was fruit. Yeah. It was so cute. So
you hope to open that?
So when they moved to the big store where their corporate offices are and their headquarters are, they did a huge hiring fair, because they went from a little bitty store to this big store, so they needed to hire all these people. So there was it was in the news, it was in the paper. I was a waitress at the time, like I said, fresh out of prison, and I was a really bad waitress, and I needed consistent income, because being a waitress is not consistent income. And I was already very insecure in general about my life. And so I was I just want a consistent paycheck. So I saw that they were having a hiring fair. I went to the hiring fair and I just slipped through. I think they saw that I was in the military. By the way, that was why I went to prison. I went to military prison. They saw I was in the military and I think they just like didn't really ask any more questions.
You were in military?
Yeah. I joined when I was 17. My dad had to sign Air Force.
Oh, Air Force?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was a whole thing. But anyways, they just saw that. And I think that they were like, oh, she's military. She can work hard. Like they just hired me. No experience with food. And I was blown away. Like for the first week that I was there, they did not make me really work. Like it was just like touring the store and learning the values and like learning our mission and here are all your benefits and here are your stock options and just like pouring into me. Mind you, I just come from the military and military prison where they're treating me like I'm lower than dirt. And so I was like, where am I? This is amazing. Like, I love this company and I haven't even so I was already just like, felt so loved and secure. And then I started like really diving into their mission and learning about like how food, like it can be good for everybody or it can be bad for everybody. It can be great for our health or it can give us disease. You can source locally, and responsibly from farmers, or you can support businesses that exploit workers and, pay people under what livable wages. And I just learned that like food touches everybody and food can change everything. And I learned about composting and how plastics are in our food. And I'm looking at this huge grocery store, 80,000 square feet. And I'm like, every single thing is in single-use plastic. I'm like, what's going to happen to all this? And it goes in our landfill. And then the landfill, they pour acid on it to break it down, and it goes into our waterways. Like, this is the system that we've set up. Like, what? This is like, what do we think we're doing here? Like, do we really think we're going to be here much longer if this is continued? And that's what's showing now in our soils. Our soil health is so depleted because of the way that we do it. It's not that it has to be that way. It's just the way that we're doing it now. By 2050, our soils will not even grow food anymore.
Wow.
I mean, that's in our lifetime. Soils will be so dead they can't grow food anymore. And that's because of all the pesticides that we're using, and that's because of the way we're tilling the land, and we're only doing monocrops. So like normally in a healthy, like think of the rainforest, you have millions of different microbes that are like giving back to the soil. But with monocropping, it's just taking. Nothing's replenishing the soil. So like there's a way that we can do it. We're just not doing it right. So anyways, I learned all of this. And I'm already like kind of mad at the system, right? Like I just went to prison on a first-time offender, non-violent drug charge, and I shouldn't have even gone. Like the whole other thing. Weird. I'm like mad at the system, right?
Yeah, go to Colorado right now.
Right. And I'm sick. I was really sick. I was on all this mental health medication because of this traumatic event of going to prison. And somebody told me like, go vegetarian. Like I heard this phrase, like if you go vegetarian, if everybody went vegetarian, we could end world hunger because there's millions of grain and food that just goes to the animals. We could just divert that to humans and like hunger would end. I was like, what? And anyways, he told me to go vegetarian because of my health, because I was dealing with health problems. And within 30 days, I felt like a different human. Really? Just from being vegetarian. And I was like, okay, what is this? And like within a few months, I was off all of my medication just naturally. And so I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm sold on this company. I'm sold on the mission. But again, I hated myself, right? Like I told you, I was like really in a bad place. I'm like, I got to go to college. I got to do the thing. Yeah. I left. I didn't think to dive deeper into that passion and knowledge that I learned there, but it did not leave me. And I started making meals for myself. I always made meals in glass because I didn't want to contribute to this landfill issue that we're having, and I didn't want to put microplastics in my body, and I always organic, like all of the things. And so that was my life. These were my meals for years. And on that amazing summer that I met my now husband, I made the meals for us. Like, he came to visit me in Austin.
And he's a vegetarian too.
He wasn't, but he went vegetarian that summer to impress me.
There's a lot of people from Pakistan that are vegetarian.
India, but not Pakistan.
No,
Pakistan, they love their meat.
Oh.
They love
lamb.
the goat. Yeah, the lamb, the goat. Yeah, like they're very meat centric. But he went vegetarian to impress me, which I didn't know at the time. I was like, oh, I'm going to try it. I'm like, oh, cool. Anyways, he comes and visits me. I'm making these meals. I'm putting them in jars. And he was like, this is beautiful. This is so amazing. Like, he's an entrepreneur. He's like, we should do a business like this. And I was like, I know. I wanted to do it while I was in New York, but I was too scared. I don't know how to do a business. I never learned. And so he's like, a few months later, he moves to Austin to be with me. And
wow,
we just like did it. And we didn't know each other. We only knew each other for 6 months at that time when we started our business. So I'm sure you can imagine all the things we learned about each other during the stress of a business and new relationship.
All this stuff, new relationship, business.
We never had a honeymoon phase. No honeymoon phase with us. It was all stress right from the beginning. Now we have a honeymoon phase. Like, we're married now. I'm more in love with him than ever. Like, we have this business. Like, now I feel like we have our honeymoon phase, but we did not have that.
That's the true entrepreneurship. Be honest with you. A lot of people, they think it's just a fancy thing. I said, but it's brutal. As you said, you go through all these hoops. You go through all this stuff that one day you're going to make it. That's what a lot of people, they give up. But
I have days
that you said, done. I want to throw the towel.
Oh yeah, I'm done. I'm crying. I'm upset. And he always, he's like, he just knows to calm me down and talk me off the ledge. Like, it's hard.
It's very hard.
Entrepreneurship really is a battle with yourself, though. It's your own demons that are holding you back. Like,
I love that.
So anyways, that's how the business came about. That's why I'm so passionate about what we do. And by the way, most of our customers are not vegetarian, and we're not vegetarian. We just believe that incorporating these foods into your diet
But
will
you guys,
change.
you do meats too, or no, Jeff?
We don't do meats at this time. We've talked about doing a regenerative, responsibly sourced meat. We don't do it at the time, though. We're completely vegan,
like
actually.
Fish or thing.
Yeah, something like Mediterranean. Yeah, we've totally talked about it. At the end of the day, we want people to eat how it's good for them. And some people really, really thrive on a vegan diet, and some people just thrive if they have some vegan foods. It's not like complete 100% vegan. So we have talked about that, but at this time we are, and we've always been vegan, gluten-free too. Gluten is inflammatory.
Yeah.
So, our food values, we basically want people to go online, shop, and know with certainty there's no microplastics in this food. There's no chemicals or pesticides in this food. There's no inflammatory foods, dairy, gluten in the food, and everything tastes good.
And you have a subscription, You
can do a one-time order, or you can subscribe. Most people subscribe because they're just like, I just want the food to come every week to my door. We deliver to Austin and Houston at this time. We are opening Dallas-Fort Worth very, very soon.
Amazing.
I feel like I've been saying that for years, but it's finally coming now. We have a wait list. You can get on our wait list on Instagram. Just click that link, get on the wait list. And we are starting a reset program. So if you want to do a 3-week program with us where we feed you breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we guide you through intuitive eating, we have a wait list for that too, and that launches in 2 weeks.
What is the average cost? I'm just asking because I'm sure a lot of viewers or listeners, they say, okay, I don't have time, I'm an entrepreneur, I go to work, and instead I go to grocery. Actually, this is a fantastic idea. I'm serious, I just want to order it, and I know I'm eating healthy, no chemical, no gluten, everything else, and I got my meal, I just get it, warm it up, or whatever it is, and, what is if somebody wants to substitute, but like, I go to H-E-B, I go to grocery, Whole Food, once a week, is it like, I don't know how that works, like...
So you asked about pricing. So like what I brought you a pumpkin muffin with roasted pears. Those pears are sourced locally from Texas, by the way. And it's that's a breakfast item, but you can have it like I have it for lunch sometime. I have it for snacks sometimes. Good. Yeah, roasted pecans on top too. Wow. So like that's $10. Like that breakfast, that's a full complete breakfast, $10. Our meals go up to $28 for like the bigger meals, but the average price for a lunch or dinner is $19. So we're a premium product, and that's because we make all those promises about your food that I don't know that you're going to get if you get from other places.
If I know that as far as the price, I know if you want to really go to Whole Food, which is, Whole Food is not cheap. If you go to Whole Food and you really want to eat healthy, it's around that much. Like, you got to go, I know I have a friend that he eats very healthy and he ordered it online and he actually spends the same amount, but he says that I don't go to Whole Food anymore. I know what I'm getting and it comes in the door and I'm going to go. He's very happy with that. And I think for the people, they have a very healthy lifestyle and they want to really that prep to your door, that would be a great idea.
Have you ever been to Whole Foods Hot Bar where you like serve yourself?
Yes, once, yeah.
You have? Once? Do you remember what you paid for that?
Yeah, it was
like $30, right?
Yeah, when you get, I remember I paid that one time I read, I exactly remember $27 and something.
Yeah.
And I went over there, was one. And when I got to the end of the line, I said, what just happened?
Yeah.
And my friend said, I don't know, man, but it's too late. Let's keep on going. And then we went and then, because you had to go and, and pay and they go, you can't return it. And then I said, holy shit, and then we went and we did it. And, I said, wow, it's very costly. If, overall, I think if you want to eat healthy, you got to pay the price.
Yeah.
You want to be in the good shape, you got to work out, you got to get a gym membership. Like a Lifetime Fitness is $70 a month.
Yeah, the Whole Foods Hot Bar was like kind of the awakening for me because they have loosened up their standards since Amazon bought them.
Yeah, since Amazon got diluted, yeah.
So like, not everything on that hot bar is organic. They use a lot of oils that are maybe not so good for us. And it's a lot of like cheese and gluten. And anyways, it's delicious. But that was kind of the awakening for us. We used to be a lower price point. And with this economy, with the inflation in the economy, and then we started doing our research, we were like, oh my gosh, like we have to raise our prices. And oh my God, we haven't been charging the appropriate price because like our stuff is like all organic. Like we don't use junk oils. And then you buy it from the local, yeah. Yes, like we're like the highest standard possible, and we're not the most expensive. Like a lot of places are charging even more than us, but our standards are higher.
Like buying a MacBook rather than Dell.
Yes, yes.
It's like that.
Yes. So so we are a premium product, and I'm so proud of that. Like I think for a long time I didn't know that I wanted to like lean into being premium because I really wanted to be like this more affordable like community business, and we still are a very community forward business. We try to give back every opportunity. We donate to every nonprofit possible, but we had to step into like, no, we are serving a premium product, and that comes with premium pricing.
I saw that you do public speaking too. What do you usually talk about?
I kind of ask like what the audience is about. So I've done speaking to like women entrepreneur groups or just women's networking groups in general, and I'll usually talk about some tricks to like do some self-improvement, like overcome your own fears. If I'm at a business meeting, I'll do like a little thing on culture because we're really big on culture at our company. But no matter where I speak, I always talk about my story because I really, really want to encourage other people to learn their story. You
just mentioned the culture. I'm with you. I'm very, very into my company's culture because I always say that environment is everything. The environment that you create is that safety zone that you create, that the people, they can come and talk to you. And that's very important. They can be who they want to be. And they grow if you guide them and lead them right. How is your culture? What is your standards for that culture? Or is it like a layback culture? Is it like very open door policies culture? All the feedbacks are welcome.
Yeah. So You know, when I talk about culture, my theme is like build your army. Like
I love that.
Your team is your army, because sometimes you're at war, right? You're like, we gotta do this. It's startup. Like you have to wear a million different hats.
Bootstrapping,
and like,
baby.
Bootstrapping, right? And you want to like be able to lock arms like those army guys and just be like, yeah, we're gonna do this. You know, like all the testosterone. So I say like the way that you build your army is you build trust, and feedback loops are really important. So this is just one example, but in our semi-annual performance evaluations that we do, like our team members get to look at their roles and responsibilities that are in their contract, right? Like when you get hired, like this is like, hey, this is your job offer. These are your roles and responsibility. They get to say if like that needs to be updated. They get to say if like this is no longer applicable in my job, because we always want our contracts to be up to date, and they get to rate themselves. Like the manager's just there to facilitate. And we ask every 6 months, like, are you happy with your salary? We can't promise that we can pay you more, but I want to know, I want to listen to you. That is basically like how we cultivate trust in our company, is like, how is it here? How are you doing here? What needs to change? Like you're the reason we have our company. We wouldn't have a company without our staff. So we just really try to listen.
But sometimes, I know sometimes like a COVID, we went through COVID too. I'm sure you went through COVID with all this,
Crazy.
It was crazy. And, sometimes you really want to do something as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, but your hands are tight. Like really, I think the best thing, as you just mentioned, is honesty. Hey, I really want to pay you more, but I can't. Like, but I am going to do this. I am trying to do this. With all that stuff. This is, I think, is very valuable to a lot of entrepreneurs or people that are going to do a startup, to be honest and just say you really mean it, but you try.
Yeah, and the last thing I want is for someone to like leave the company and say like, yeah, they didn't do X, Y, and Z, and that's why I'm leaving. And it's like, I just want to know, like, what do you like? What's going well? What needs to improve? Like even if I can't meet all your needs, I want to hear you. I want to listen to you. And I think that is exactly how a big corporations. That's why I think a lot of people don't like corporate settings, because they do not feel heard. So that is what's really important to our culture, is that everybody feels heard. I'm not saying we're going to do what you want. I can't promise that. But what I can say is that I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to make note of it. And maybe someday we do make that change. Like your voice matters here. And I think that is really, really hard. It takes a lot of energy. And I know a lot of small businesses out there don't have the capacity to do that. But if you can just start those feedback loops with your staff and just having honest conversations, like it goes so far.
Yeah, people can make you or break you.
Yeah.
It's exactly like that. But does Heather have any regrets? Do you have any regrets?
Do I have any regrets? I don't know. I'm so happy today. And I think that I think I have a regret. I think one of my regrets is not knowing that I could tell my story a lot sooner.
I love that.
I think that might be a regret, but even prison and drug, like that gave me so much purpose. Like all of my mistakes, I learned so much, and it gave me so much purpose in what I'm doing today. And if I hadn't been in like a really terrible spot at that time in Whole Foods, when like maybe I wouldn't have appreciated the culture as much, maybe I wouldn't have learned as much, maybe I wouldn't have gone vegetarian. Like I had to be in a terrible place to appreciate everything that was happening in that moment. And look what happened. Like now I have my own company that's based on all those values that I learned. So I don't know that I want to change anything, except I wish that I would have like loved myself sooner. I think, and that's telling your story, I think, is a part of self-love.
That's self-love. And I really like what you just said, because as I said earlier, a lot of people are listening to you right now. They're watching you because you went through all that from a prison, from this, childhood, everything else. But basically you're telling everybody that, including myself, that, hey, everything is possible. As long as you know yourself, self-awareness is important, and you define who you want to be and where you're going to go and what is your why, I think you can make it happen. Even though if you went to prison, even though you did this, you did that, this stuff happened to your family, still we can do it. But the thing is a lot of people, I think they lose their faith or they not believe in it because they think, okay, this is happening, it's the end of the world. That's it. It's done.
Yes.
I am dead. But I don't think so, because you can go full broke, but you can get back up.
You can.
And it started it. Look at yourself, I'm sure you had a lot of times that crying and weeping and all that stuff and say, that's it, I'm done, I don't know what to do. And been there, myself too, and that's the time that you need to get up and keep on going. Because I always say, you stop, you die. You stop, you die. That's it. I came from military too. I was in the army.
Which one?
Yeah, I was in the Iranian army. I was in the special forces. I was in the Iran-Iraq war for 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
I was in the front line, lost a man in the battlefield, and and PTSD, and I'm not ashamed of it. I still cannot go to 4th of July. I sit with the dog and chilling, watching TV. Me and the dog, we both don't like it.
The dogs don't like it.
Yeah, and then, I'm not ashamed of it, being sick, depressed, and I learned from it. And now I have a friends, they were coming from Iraq and Afghanistan. Hey, dude, listen, we learn a lot. We can use it like this. We can do this. We can do that. A lot of stuff. When bankrupt, when broke, divorce, God, name it, everything.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, but, every day, is a battlefield. But I always say, if I didn't die there, it's not worse than dying. Legacy is now. Legacy is right now, what you do. It's how you're going to do your things today. After you die, okay, it's a couple of hours, they're going to come and cry and the web and everything else, then you'll be forgotten. But today, what you do is so important. That's your story. Heather's story is that is going to change lives right now. Because these people, they can rewind this and listen and say, oh shit, she did this. What's the freaking thing is wrong with me? That's the reality.
It's really funny that you say that they're not going to remember you anymore after a few hours, because so many people are so obsessed with this idea of legacy. And like we see it when we're at university, like buildings are named after certain people, but like we don't know who they are. They might have given $1 billion to Dell Research or whatever. We don't know who they are. It's really hard to make a true legacy. It's really hard. About now.
It's now.
And all you can do is hope that like what you're doing now gives positive ripple effects to the people around you. And so it continues, the actions continue and the emotions continue. But like for them to really remember Heather's the one who created that, or Heather's the one who did that, it's highly, highly unlikely. It's just our ego that wants us to make.
It is. Yeah, you are absolutely. And the egos that would kill us.
Yes.
The egos that will kill us. A lot of people, they're not going to be successful because of the ego. It's me. It's the world revolves around me. No, nobody. It doesn't work like that. It's what you can do with what you have. Are you giving? Are you believing giving is better than receiving? Because when you give, you receive. It's not vice versa. It's just that mindset, I think, for entrepreneurs. Or, we both went through a different time in the life, and, you end up with the Middle Eastern, I end up with the white. The opposite sides, but I'm loving it. You're loving it. That's great. It's just, the world is such a nice world. If we all pull our own weight, imagine what a beautiful world we're going to have. The problem is that most humans are selfish. Everything starts with us. Do you believe that?
Wait, what do you mean? Everything?
We create the problems. Environment.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, environment, plastic. We create it. If we say that we're not going to use plastic, we're not going to have that. Okay, the judgment. If you want to do that, everything starts with us, ends with us. That's what I always say, that Everything starts with us. If you're miserable, you choose to be miserable.
Yeah, I read this post somewhere on the internet, and it was like, if you had $1 million and somebody stole $10 from you, are you going to be like, are you going to say, oh my God, screw it, and burn all your rest of your money? No, you're not. You might be mad for a second, but like, you have all this extra money. And they said, that's what it's like when you have a bad interaction for your day. There's however many seconds in a day, thousands of seconds in a day, millions of seconds in a day, and you had 30 seconds where someone hurt your feelings or did something bad. Are you just going to throw away the rest of your day or throw away the rest of your life because of this thing that happened? No.
No.
And when I read that, I was like, oh, that's so true. Because when we talk about don't let it ruin your day, it's when someone says that, oh, you're upset, don't let it ruin your day. It's fine. It's going to pass. It's like, I don't want to let go. But when you talk about it in terms of money, I can totally see that. Like, I'm not going to get upset about $10 being gone if I have all this extra money. And it's like, that's what time is. And so I do think that we can be the creators of heartache and unnecessary pain for ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And,
the moment you let the past go, you're free.
Yeah, it really is. We are not defined by our past. We are not, and we can't let it, we have to make that choice and not let it affect our past. Like, we can be anything we want to be. 10 seconds from now, I can be something completely different than I am right now if we allow our brain to do that for us.
Don't you think a lot of people, I know some people close to me that they're so obsessed with what in the past happened that they hold them back from the future.
Totally.
The past is past. You can't buy the time. Whatever happened, it happened. What can you do? You can't change it. You can't go back. If I give Heather $1 million and say, Heather, can you take me back to 2012? I wish I should do this, or I had to do this. And you say, Rami, I can't. I can't. Whatever you want, I can't do that. We are holding, as you said, some people so hard to the past that they self-destructing themselves. I'm serious. I seen him. I said, I can't let it go. I said, dude, let it go. She's gone. You got divorced. Done. It's just let it go. Otherwise, you're not going to be who you want to be for the future too. That's like you. If you were holding on your past with all those failures and everything else and say, oh, and I did this, I'm a failure. You wouldn't be sitting here and talking to me about, prep to your door and the success and how many lives you can change and everything. You couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, holding grudges is, I'm really proud that I don't.
Do you hold any grudges?
No. I get mad very easily.
Why?
And I get over it very easily. I'm fiery. So, we get mad. But I let go of things.
Alhamdulillah.
That one. I still can't say it, but I hear it all the time.
MashaAllah.
Mashallah. I can say that one.
Yeah. Do you know anything else?
I know, like, Assalamu alaikum. That's very Pakistani, though.
Yeah.
You don't say that, do you?
No, we don't say. We say salam.
Salam, yeah. Mashallah.
Marhaba.
That's more Egyptian, I think, right?
Marhaba. Yeah,
or
marhaba.
where else?
They use in Kuwait, Saudi, all that stuff.
I love that one. I love that word. Yeah. But they don't say that. I don't think they say that in Pakistan. Or I have never heard them say, his family say that.
They say a lot of inshallah.
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 Anything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll see you for dinner, inshallah.
Yeah.
It's like superstition.
Yeah.
Like always, like if God allows.
Yeah.
If God allows, right?
If God allows, like, in the God's hand.
In God's hand, yeah.
In God's hand, yeah.
Ooh. And I kind of love it because it really is like, it's out of our control. If our plans are a joke.
Yeah. I agree with you.
That's what they're saying.
I agree with you. There is no guarantee. God forbid that.
God forbid, yeah.
Like a Heather goes out of this door and something not going to happen, or I go out of this door, or your husband. There is no guarantee.
Yeah.
There is really no guarantee. And then that's what people, they get into it, that everything this is mine. No, I always tell people, you rent everything. It doesn't belong to you. Have you ever seen a U-Haul behind a hearse?
Right. Yeah.
Egyptian did that and they got robbed.
Yeah, I was going to just say, the Egyptians did it in their tombs. But
they got robbed. But I'm just saying that you don't see that. It doesn't matter what you have. Your car, you're renting it to use it. You pay for it, use it. Your phone, everything, the clothes. Because you came naked, you go out naked. And why you have to be so freaking, greedy or unpleasant or not want to help other people? What do you think you're going to take?
We think we're so important. Like, just look at a picture of the galaxy with all the stars. We're like a fleck of dust on a fleck of dust on a fleck of dust. We are nothing compared to like how big this universe is. Like, all of the things we think are important really aren't.
And then if you look at the universe from the far, you say, all these people fighting, they're all living in one universe. For what?
For what?
You're Christian, you're Muslim, you're Jew, you are Sufi, you are whatever it is, whoever you are. I'm telling you, whoever you are, at the end you are human. And you got to do the right thing. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But, but do you have any, I know you got a tight schedule, you got to go, but do you have any advice for the female entrepreneurs that they got idea in their mind right now? They went through a lot of, hard things, harsh times and everything, and say, I really want to do it, I don't know what to do, What would you tell those people?
Yes, I can answer this very easily. So it doesn't matter if you're a girl, this can be for a woman, but it can also be for a man. It can be for anybody. Anything you want to do in life, but especially a business. Before you start, write down your why and get very clear. Get very clear on like why you want to do this. What are your reasons for wanting to do this? Because when things get really, really hard and you want to quit, your why is what's going to carry you through. So for me, all of the financial stress, because we are building a Prep to Your Door. We are building we have a facility. We have over 30 employees. We have operations. We have it's very different than a software job where you're creating things in space. You don't have the same operation to maintain, right? So it's a different type of stress.
Very humanized business.
Oh, very, very much so. It's crazy how big this machine is that we're building. And yeah, there are days I want to quit. No. I can't lie about that. There are some entrepreneurs that say, I've never wanted to quit. It's all I wanted to do. And I think my husband's that way, but I'm not that way. Okay. I'm throwing in the towel. I'm moving to Thailand. I have those moments. So, but what comes back for me is that I do believe that our food system is broken the way it is. I believe that our future depends on us doing food differently. I believe that what we're doing is special and doesn't exist anywhere else. Literally doesn't exist anywhere else. I've looked across the nation, across the world. What we're doing, nobody else is doing. And that's my why. I can't quit. I can't. I know this has to exist. So whatever you do in your life, I hope that you have something in your life that you believe so deeply. And I hope that's a business. And I want to support your business. Email me. I want to know about it. If you have a business that doesn't exist anywhere else, even if it does, if you believe that it needs to exist so deeply and passionately, I want to know about it. So email me, heather@preptoyourdoor.com.
Amazing. I really want to say thank you that you share your story, unbiased and uncensored, and all that stuff with the listeners, with the viewers. That means a lot to me. And because as I said earlier, there's a story behind every person, and I'm sure so many people out there, they're going to learn from you and they're going to reach out to you, and we will tell them about you, and and we put in the description and everything else. But as you said, what is your email again?
Heather@prep2yourdoor.com.
Amazing. If you guys or you need anything, just email Heather. She's more than welcome to help you out with your ideas, whatever goes in your mind, to guide you, help you. If you got something, call her, email her, and she will come and be there for you as a true hardcore entrepreneur. But Heather, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I learned so much from you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. This is beautiful, beautiful space. Congratulations on
thank you.
Everything.
Thank you so much. I look forward for our next chat when you have we are 200 employees and we are in a 20,000 square footage. You say, Heather, you remember that little jar you gave me and everything? But, thank you. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.